my childhood brain decided to say Jacob. Mushu.
You spelled Mushu as Jacob?
Jac. To this day, I don't know how to spell Mushu.
It's
Jacob.
really? Yeah, Jacob.
You're right.
Clearly.
But
Yeah, I'm bewildered that you nailed it on the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
A
old
lot of
are you?
people get confused by the silent C and B and O and J and A.
Literally, none of those letters are probably in there.
What the fuck?
Welcome back to the Weekend Fan Club.
I didn't know we started yet.
Are you serious?
We have to make a
Because
confession.
I really regret that. I wish I hadn't done it.
We lost a bunch of audio because Audacity died. There was this great bit where John
Don't
put,
tell him we're
John
using
put tape on his
Audacity.
leg again. And I was like, John, where's
We're
that,
feeling
what's that tape
tricked.
doing on your leg? And Quinn was like, ah! And John was like, ah! And James like, what? And I was here eating food. I was chewing, trying to do it quietly, but who knows? We'll never know really how loud that chewing was. But fortunately, you don't have to hear it regardless, because all of that's lost. Audacity died, and we're really upset about it.
But it's okay, because we're back now, and we're ready to...
That won't stop this
Okay.
episode from being...
Yeah, you know what? Cut that.
I honestly
Cut that.
it's so much worse than the first
This
opening.
is so much worse.
Let's cut that.
This episode's
Close
still
the
gonna
door. Do you want
it's
the
still gonna
echoes?
slap. What?
Alexa's gonna hear
What
us.
about your clothes, John? Your weird clothes you hanging in the doorway.
I was at
And
a
then-
wedding. I had to hang it
And then
up.
you ask Connor to close the door as if you haven't deliberately placed an obstacle there.
It's closed enough.
Yeah, it's close enough. Just enough to get an echo out.
You weird standards.
Anyway, I got Twitter famous over the week, and that's pretty much the end of that story.
I also said that if you hit a certain point, I'd have blood shits.
Yeah.
And I
hit that double. You said
did
if I
double
got 100 likes,
I'd
you would
shit
shit
blood.
blood. And then I hit 200, immediately sent it to you at like 7:30 in the morning, and I was like, I hope you're wearing Huggies.
True. I remember. I was like, oh shit, you got 200
I
likes.
hate to say it. But it's at exactly 200 now.
Imagine if that's how, like, clauses worked in real life. As soon as you said something,
That's it.
I
I don't think we would live in a society, honestly. I think this
Yeah.
would just be fucked.
We would no longer live in a society.
No, I think just like civilization as a whole would just, if anything you have said was kind of like a blood pact, like you'd have to fucking do it. That's it. Like I think this would just be over.
Speak much differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely would be dead because I've used that phrase too much. It's like if you get 100
Shit
likes,
blood?
yeah, I
Specifically shit blood.
specifically shit blood.
Oh my god.
Mostly because I heard it from the Russell Howard stand-up special on Netflix, and I cried because it was like the first time I ever heard someone say shit blood.
Yeah. That's like me. Whenever someone asks me like, whenever they ask me to do something I don't want to do, or like if I would rather do something else, ever since I heard it once, I always use it from now on. It's like I'd rather stick my dick in an electrical outlet.
That's rough.
Holy shit!
But yeah, so yeah, the tweet got like 200 likes, which was kind of crazy, and I only got like 4 followers from that.
That's bogus.
So like, right? Realistically, it's kind of bad.
Woohoo! I'm John. I gotta look popular.
No, now the funny thing is this. So the only reason I wanted to bring up the tweet is because I said to you guys, I was like, what do I do? Like, when people become Twitter famous, what do? They usually, like, link their SoundCloud or their Bandcamp or whatever on, like, the next tweet. And I was like, I don't have any of those, but I do have the podcast. So I plugged the podcast, and 2 people liked it. Do you want to know who they were, Jacob?
Connor and Quinn.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct. And I was like, man, fuck. And it's funny because as soon as I did that, literally nothing happened on the tweet after that. So it's almost like it just died right there.
You should have predicted that it would be popular and then have the podcast.
You're right. I
from
should
the
have.
start.
Yeah, built in.
Definitely.
YouTube's down. Here's the monkeys working on it. Also, I have a podcast.
Just on every tweet, just in case.
The least,
just in
the
case this
least
scrolls up.
organic.
Brought to you by.
Yeah, Weekend Fan.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, also in the week news, we found an article
I didn't read that article.
You didn't?
We're gonna read it together though.
Fuck.
Yeah, because
Welcome to
Right.
the first weekend fan club reading series.
No,
like
we've
that.
done this 1,000 times because John leaps at any opportunity to look at his phone during the podcast.
Wow.
you're really going after John.
I
don't know
say
why I'm
as
full
I
of
have
thoughts today, but I really am.
I say as I have my phone in my hand, looking
It was
at.
kind of funny because before you guys started messaging in the group chat about this, I was talking to one of the sound boys, one of my guys at school, and he was like, every once in a while I go to CNN for the take, and today I found the
Oh
take.
yeah. So to give some background to this, I usually just go on the news when I'm at lunch at work, and one day I just like, oh fuck it, I'll go on CNN, whatever. And then I went down through it and saw one article. I didn't see like a picture or anything. It was just like the title of the article and that was it. And all it said was, memes may contribute to teenage obesity. And I was like, oh, here we go. I clicked into it, and it's the very first image you see is like the fucking header is the classic meme of like jealous girlfriend of like the guy looking
But
back
like,
at
what
the
does
girl.
that? Okay, first point.
But there's
What
nothing
does that have to do with obesity?
But okay, that's what I'm
So
saying.
that's not a meme anymore, that's just a stock photo of some
Now it's just a
people.
stock photo, realistic, because they didn't put anything there. There's no like words
not a meme,
or
yeah.
pictures. It's just
Or maybe
here's
this
here's the template.
Maybe this is advanced. Maybe this is like an implied meme because of the context of the article.
I don't know, but Rob wrote it. So anyway,
last
So
name?
good job, Rob.
Just Rob?
no wait, yeah, Rob.
Don't be like being
I don't
put
want to
on
name
blast.
drop him. That's fuck it. We'll name drop him. Rob Pachetta.
Like,
All right,
anybody
Rob.
is gonna do anything.
Yeah, no. It says right under the header for the distracted boyfriend. It says stock photo of a quote unquote distracted boyfriend, which has spurred internet memes. So it's been a bad few weeks for memes. Is the title sentence.
How do you do, fellow kids?
First word. In mid-September, the European Parliament passed a new copyright law that have some dubbed a quote-unquote meme ban.
Why?
Then Sweden's advertising watchdog ruled that popular distracted boyfriend meme is sexist.
What?
Now academics have told British lawmakers that internet memes may be contributing to the UK obesity crisis as doing harm to teenagers on a significant scale. Memes can carry health-related messages and make light of unhealthy eating habits, researchers from Loughborough University wrote in a letter sent to British Parliament. A substantial number of individuals on Twitter share health-related internet memes with both positive and negative messages, noting that many contain inappropriate material. A picture of an overweight child with the caption, "Free food? Count me in," was sent along with the letter as an example of a meme researchers found dangerous.
Hold on, can we... So they said they compiled this stuff from Twitter?
Yeah.
Could you imagine a bunch of old people who don't know anything about the internet
British Parliament, mind
trying
you.
to compile, like, data from Twitter on what the memes are like, and just the dumbfoundedness of what they find?
A bunch of British crusties, which are the crustiest of crusties.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, they're just like, I don't get it. This image is low res, and the frog just says soup time. Where's the
It's
joke
just
here?
a low-res skeleton. It's
But have we
calcium
considered the
time.
health implications of this soup? What kind of soup is it? What's the caloric, value of this soup?
So, the next one here says, the academics were also concerned by a meme that created a human-like body from pictures of pizza and hamburgers, with frankenfurters used for limbs and a smiley-faced potato for
Oh,
a
is
face.
that like
Is
is
that
that
the
like
little
that?
emoji dudes? Like
Yeah,
the cowboys?
I think
No,
That
That
is
was
that
partner.
I thought that was like, was it Time that did the cover of Donald Trump made of hams and cheeses?
Oh, yeah.
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 So, yeah, it
Fuck
says here...
you.
It says the body was captioned "me" and was placed alongside images of three well-defined bodies.
Like,
I don't know if there's anything better than having like old
I wonder-
describe
Imagine
memes.
they see this is so me if someone eating a burger and they're like, oh, we have to stop this.
Oh my God, they're
I just want to
eat
see like
more.
an actual like newscast reporting on this. That they're just like,
Oh, fuck,
the
what,
caption read, "Me."
So yeah, the vast majority of sharers display little, if any, emotion when sharing these memes. Just wash this chocolate bar with soap, read the caption to another image, including the letter, along with hashtag clean eating.
It's like
Internet memes are generally viewed as entertaining, but they also represent a body of cultural practice that does not account for the specific needs and rights of teenagers. Unhealthy lifestyles cost the NHS billions every year, they added, suggesting that the dangers of inaccurate/inappropriate health messages contained in memes could be a contributing factor.
Duh, it's about money.
It all comes back to
There it is.
Well, that should have
I
been
thought I was
fucking
on
obvious from the
CNN
get-go.
Health, not CNN Money.
It's just about money. Well, that's problem solved right there. They're like, something's
we live
causing
in-
us money. Oh, is it the internet this time? Sure.
And it's like we live in this industrialized mega industry of sugar and bullshit.
Yeah, right?
Feeding us, and it's like,
Yeah.
but the teens, they're making jokes about it.
Oh my god. No, listen to
Yeah.
this. Listen to this part. It is worrying that the internet meme content produces a predominant sense of happiness regardless of the underlying tone or image used. If internet memes carry political, corporate, or other agendas without priorities tailored to the needs of 13 to 16-year-olds, then they have the potential to do harm on a large scale. Let me say that again.
Wait, what?
If internet
whole
memes
thing?
carry political, corporate, or other agendas without priorities tailored to 13 to 16-year-olds, they have the potential to do harm on a large scale.
They say that memes have to be tailored towards teenagers.
They say if they're tailored towards them to 13 to 16-year-olds.
They have potential to do big harm.
Yeah.
Are memes tailored towards anyone, like any age group? Because they're pretty much just nonsense at this point.
They're honestly bonkers. Because I don't understand most memes that are going on.
It's crazy. It's literally like a cat says loops. And you can put that with anything.
Lamp.
And I mean, it's hilarious.
Lamp
but-
memes. Like, what is happening?
No,
with
the moth, listen, the moth was a good one.
The
all
moth
right?
was
I'll-
interesting.
Like, the moth and the beaver.
The beaver, I thought
Log.
the beaver and the moth were less stupid because they had somewhat.
It's
of, like,
hilarious because
a very strange thought process because it went from like moths like light, so
Yeah.
like find instances of increasing light so that moths like it, and then.
But do you remember back in the day when people would like? Do you remember back in the day when like you would see pictures of people being like, "Aha, this is memes today," and then they're like, "Haha, memes in like 2020," and then they would do something dumb like lamp. That's literally what we've
Literally
come
what happened,
to. The last sentence here just says they also noted that memes, quote, have the potential to normalize undesirable behaviors and often contain inappropriate material or ridicule others by race, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, body shape, religion, diet, etc. But I think realistically that's just the internet, so
Yeah, that's
it's a
honestly
broad term.
What I wonder is there any proof that teenagers have a higher obesity rate, and is there any way to prove, even slightly, that memes contribute to that? Because I don't think they do, and I don't think that exists. I think they just thought it. They were like, oh, this meme says me when I eat burger. It's like, wow.
Bubger.
Here's the thing, too.
But what
like,
if the kids are reading this and getting fat?
Oh,
Here's the thing, too. If that's the case, if by some weird miracle, they're like, yes, the kids reading memes is making them fat, what do you do with that? Like, what...
Yeah, what do you
what's
gain
the
by
next
this
step
information?
here,
It
right?
sounds like they want to ban. Like they started with, hey, the EU might have banned memes. I don't know any details about that law, by the way, but
It's
like, oh, the EU
very broad.
Maybe we need to ban memes with food in them because that's bad.
Well, that's just
what?
one problem, I suppose. It's just like when, another example is, those memes of like, school shooter memes. It's like,
That's fucked up.
that's fucked
One.
up. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it gets to a point where it's like, like,
Well, it's like
Whoa.
the memes.
they laughed at my 9 centimeter. They're gonna laugh when they see my 9 millimeter. Like, It's like, that's not funny. That's fucked. Also, are we still talking about penises or guns? Like, depends. I need context
Still
here.
confused.
It's like like we talk about memes being the social currency, but it's like very obviously the memes are a product of a group of people's way of thinking and not directing the way they're thinking.
Yeah.
And then to look at the memes on their own as the cause of any of this seems totally like gutless. Like if you want to look at
And there's
unhealthy eating and culture in that, maybe there's something there. but it's not the meme's fault.
No, it's
No.
just that's just a one result of it. You know
Memes
what I
don't
mean?
kill people. People kill people.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
I always love to laugh.
Memes.
The thing I love to laugh at is the fact that like, even just the whole idea of like, even before the internet started, like people were like, "Ah, fucking memes are garbage," and I'm like, literally, dude, we've been fucking dealing with memes since cave times. Like
dicks. Like people just drawing dicks.
Memes
like,
are
like-
part of us. You're saying
memes are literally just like, this is just a cultural thing.
but like maybe you're still correct because we're garbage.
Yeah.
That's why.
at a larger point, we are trash.
Yeah. This is gonna sound like kind of like aimless conspiracy bullshit, but like to me, this whole article, it's just kind of like, oh, we have this thing and it's costing us money. What do we not understand that we can target this at? Memes. We don't understand it, so it's probably bad.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's a shame.
I think it's definitely like I definitely think that if you're like a person that's running some kind of big institution and there is your big issue like teen obesity, like that is a big issue. Like
Absolutely,
teens shouldn't be fat. That's obvious. But if they're at the institutional level and they're saying, all right, like you said, we need to try and find something that has a very small correlation, if at all, and then we're going to publish this story, and then it's just going to lead to people being like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Or people are going to be like, oh, okay, cool, I'll believe you. And then down the road, we get, oh, yeah, vaccines cause autism. Like, that's kind of in the same vein of thinking.
Yeah.
When people make broad correlations that have no proof, you're just ruining the general public.
Exactly.
It's also-
I'm going back to the article because I want to see if there was like, does CNN support comments? I hope not, but also I
truly hope not,
yes.
but I really hope that there also is.
Yeah.
You know, I think the article suggests the answer to this, but do you think they even talk to a teen about this, or like
teen.
anyone who even like kind of understands or like partakes in memes?
It's one of my fucking.
Absolutely not.
That's literally one of like my favorite images ever. Is the one of like. Is abortion bad? 5 white guys weigh in, and I'm like, yes, my favorite.
Perfect.
Great.
Yeah, there's nothing here. There's like no comments or anything like that.
There's nothing here.
There's
Yeah, there's not even an
There's
article
nothing
here. But there is oh man,
Ooh.
32 foods you need to stop putting in the fridge.
32.
I'm kidding, I'm not reading that. But the picture was sriracha, which really fucked me up. That's why it caught my eye. So I guess it did its job.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh my
Anyways,
God.
don't look at memes, kids.
Yeah,
or
don't
else,
look at memes.
They'll make you fat.
Your health's
Yeah.
on the line.
Yeah.
Ain't no
You're
joke.
gonna need help. Move to the UK. You'll be fine there. They won't allow memes.
I'm just saying, heart disease, big killer. And I'm not saying that if you look at memes, you deserve heart disease.
But if you make memes,
But
But like, if you get heart disease, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Let's do a hard turn, Jacob. Let's do a
So,
hard turn.
oh my God.
It's spooky
here we
month.
go.
It's time to talk about
Yeah,
something a
spooky month
spooky.
Do you
throw
wanna-
in a spooky month jingle.
Yeah.
Bam.
Pew 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 pew.
So, I.
Before we start, what's on your shirt?
Oh,
is it
Drake.
they fucking knew it.
Drake.
I like looked at it and I was like, is that
You're so out of touch.
is that
Get out
Hotline
of
Bling?
meme culture,
Is it
man.
Hotline Bling?
Yes.
Ah, got it. All right,
Nice,
cool.
you recognize the song from 2 years ago.
Thanks.
You're really killing it, dude.
Which in 2018 means you recognize the song from 10 years ago.
Yeah, you recognize a song from a very long. Remember waking
God.
up this morning?
No,
That was 8 years ago.
Anyway,
like and
So-
subscribe if you woke up this morning.
there's a new Netflix show out called The Haunting on Hill House.
No. Just
Okay.
haunted.
What?
Just haunted.
You're talking about different shows, dude.
Talking about
We're talking about different shows.
Oh, we're talking about completely different shows, dude.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Have you been watching the Rock show?
Oh, he definitely has, no?
No, I've been watching.
I literally clarified this in the chat. I was like, you don't mean the show Haunting on Hill House, right? And he said, no, not that one, this different one. The Haunting. It's an anthology.
No, it's just haunted.
Oh, it's
That's all
haunted,
it's called.
haunted.
That's what it's called.
That's what it's called. It's just anthology. It's not the
So
Haunted on Hill House.
we're talking about the same show? Are we talking about
No!
Because I sent a very specific part of the show, and you were like, "Yeah, that's crazy."
No, because there's also something like that in The Haunted.
You've got to be shitting. There's no way on earth there is
I gotta be honest. I think
There's no what?
No, I'm
There's
serious.
no what?
I'm serious.
There's
Okay.
no what?
Okay. Well, okay. So Quinn sent me a text talking about how there's like this spooky vigilante guy that has like this spooky power to be able to communicate with spirits, right? That kind of thing. You sent that text?
You're fucking with me.
No, I'm
So what
okay.
the fuck?
No, seriously. Just pull out the text message.
Because Quinn was
I
telling
think-
me he was watching the Haunting on Hill House, and I was like, I'm pretty sure
That's
that's
not
wasn't
it.
the show
That's
that
not
Jacob
it.
was watching.
But I think I forgot the name of the guy that has that same thing.
Yeah.
And I just filled in the blank of.
Yeah, I
this
said-
person's-
I said Theo is a
Yeah.
friggin' vigilante psycho.
Okay, yeah.
Psychic, sorry.
Yeah,
A friggin'
okay.
vigilante
So,
psychic.
I
And you
filled
said,
in-
yeah, I was cracking up.
Yeah, okay. Because in this show, there's a guy that legit has this same thing.
That's
I
so
totally forgot
fun.
his name, but I just filled it in because I thought he was watching the same
Yeah,
thing.
because Quinn came over, he was like, man, I don't know what Jacob's talking about. Like, it's really fucking good. And I'm like,
No.
I was like, are you sure you watched the same thing?
It's not. What I watched is not.
Okay,
It's not
so
good.
Jacob, you talk about your thing first, then we'll go to
Guys, I'm so dumb. I'm straight up like, my brain is a rock. Like it is a stone. And it just takes up space. There is nothing happening in here. Nothing.
Okay, so I watched the anthology series put out by Netflix called Haunted, and it's just 6 25-minute episodes of different people talking about how they've been haunted in their life. Granted, the first episode gave me a good spook. I still got residual spook. Like today, I'm like, ooh, what if that's real? That's a good spook.
Yeah.
Right? But my brain is like, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Listen, if it's good enough to stay with you after watching it for like a day or so,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think it did a good job.
It did a great job.
Yeah.
Now, the story is actually based upon like some voodoo myth stuff. Like the episode is called "The Woman in White." Okay, so that's this pop culture thing of there's this woman. She killed her 2 kids in a bathtub and then she hung herself. Okay, so this guy lived in a motel with his family. Okay, my take on this whole show is that every single episode, every single person that claims to be haunted suffered severe traumatic psychological or physical events. Every single person.
Every single one of them's got PTSD.
Every single person has some form of severe trauma in their life. Like first episode, this kid, let's start with just basic facts.
Question: is this fiction or like testimonial?
Okay, it's kind of testimonial, but I don't believe any of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do they believe it? Like, is it actors?
I don't want to think that it is actors because I think there's something unethical about what Netflix did if it is actors, but if it's real people, then I'll still stand by the point of like they've only experienced this because they've had some sort of severe trauma.
I thought it was like they're true stories, but they're just portrayed.
They are true stories, and I think they have the real people that actually experience it. But for me, it's just there's a level of skepticism if it is true because one, be skeptical about spirits.
Yeah.
But it's real accounts.
Yeah, but it's real accounts. Like this woman in white thing, like this is a big cultural thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like yeah, that's a spooky thing, but I don't know if like this one guy is actually the person that is like being haunted by this thing.
Yeah.
So back to this first episode, like this guy, his family was poor, his parents couldn't hold a job, lived in a motel. Okay. Also, when he was a kid in a hotel he lived before he was haunted, he witnessed a guy take a fire axe, run around a hotel naked, and start killing people.
Oh, nice. Great.
So like that's what sets the tone of like how this guy perceives things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So he witnessed.
Assume the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he witnessed some severe psychological trauma.
Yeah.
Right. He then moves into this motel. He starts seeing this entity. He tries to tell people. He gets smacked for it. Like he gets abused for it. Right. And then it progresses, and then it gets to a point where like he gets baptized, but then that doesn't go away because, it's not like you're fixed.
Yay.
And then it kind of progresses him further into like cursing religion and all that stuff. So it's kind of the reinforced negativity on top of everything that's going on. None of the people in the show say that like I've sought professional help. I've sought out medical treatment for this. It's all I'm convinced that I see spirits and that I'm haunted. It kind of just screams like you have some deep-seated issues that you have not resolved.
So, like, is every single one of these... you're not done this year.
Oh, I finished it.
Are you done?
I finished it, like the whole thing.
So, is every single one of these have something traumatic before?
Every single one.
Wow.
I
would imagine... I would accept it if it's like one or two.
No.
But if every single one of them had something traumatic...
Now, the second story...
I'm talking traumatic before.
Yeah.
So there's something traumatic before every haunt. Okay,
every
now
single one.
I don't know now, man.
Every
if there was like
single
one or two, I'd be like, okay.
But then also during, you said that like physical, psychological abuse. As you were seeing
the
stuff.
negativity is reinforced. Like nothing is addressed.
Wow.
So for me, I was like, guys, like just a little bit of psychoanalysis could put it together. Okay, this guy witnessed a murder around his family, multiple murders around his family, like a violent act around his family. I think psychoanalytically we can then make the leap of like he then sees this spirit, this projection, this hallucination of a woman who killed her kids.
Gee, sounds like your brain's trying to do something to protect yourself.
Now here's the thing: he didn't know that actually happened in the apartment. He didn't know that happened in the apartment. So that was a reinforcement for him.
Okay.
Right? And you know what? That is like that's something that's spooking me because I do believe in like spirits and planes and like commingling and all that weird mumbo jumbo. But for me, a lot of it can be managed and interpreted and reduced to a point of your brain is trying to just make sense of what's going on.
I mean, your brain just tries to make patterns of anything. Like,
exactly.
That's what it does. It just tries to understand anything by using anything that you have already in there as a reference.
Yeah, and what I found confusing for this story in particular was this guy would legit see the spirit every night, but like the spirit wouldn't actually interact with him. It would just be like present in his room, like a projection, like how hallucinations work. And when like he pulled out a Ouija board, okay, spoiler, never do that, ever.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Spoiler alert for real life.
Don't fuck with Ouija boards unless like you have somebody that claims to be a medium. Even then, don't trust that they're a medium.
I mean, listen, I'm not a huge believer in spirits. But at the very least, if there's a fucking 0.1% chance of pissing a demon off, I'm not taking it. It's
exactly.
fine. I'm gonna not take it.
Wait, that's why you're saying not to use Ouija boards?
Yeah, don't.
Because you're scared they work?
No, I'm just saying if there was ever a fucking percentage.
I was about to jump in and argue for the side of the supernatural, but you guys are already afraid to use Ouija boards.
I'm not afraid to use Ouija board. I'm just saying if there is even like a 0.1% chance of a fucking demon getting mad at me for fucking with a Ouija board and fucking with his afterlife or or a ghost or whatever, fuck it, whatever. I don't care anymore.
I mean, it's fine if you are afraid to use a Ouija board, but like,
why are you this?
You could just.
Are you trying to fucking chicken me on a Ouija board? I'm not afraid to use a Ouija. I'll fucking let's go buy a Ouija board. Let's go to Walmart.
You're saying
I'm fucking buy one right now.
You're saying you don't want to use it because you don't want to fuck with a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
demons suck.
Yeah, they suck.
Alright.
I'm sorry,
because
demons. I didn't mean to say
they'll force you to watch Shrek the Third forever and it'll be really annoying and inconvenient.
Okay, let's not jump too far down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What I was saying was that this spirit didn't really like interact with him, but when he had the Ouija board, it spelled out hurt you. But it never did anything. It was just a projection. And like
right.
this guy's story was like, okay, like he saw the projection, passed out in a parking lot one time and died because he had dehydration and heat stroke.
Yeah,
but he was revived and then the spirit left him. So his brain kind of interpreted, okay, he died and the spirit took his took like that death as like
Yeah.
resolution. But then his brain then later perceived it again later in his life. It was like, oh, it's back and she's gonna kill me. Like she's gonna be the cause of my death. So I'm like, dude, just
die again.
This show seems kind of sad and like a little
It seems like a
exploitive.
huge-
it's
yeah.
pretty, I gotta admit, I'm pretty disappointed in Netflix for this.
It seems like this guy needs help.
This guy, I think everybody in this show needs a level of psychological treatment because
If they're real.
yeah, if they're real.
Yeah.
I don't trust when a production says the following is a true story,
Yeah.
especially if it's horror. Because
Yeah, true.
if this is true and this entity is true and it has haunted this person, oh my god, how much sympathy can I have for this poor mortal?
Right?
And how terrifying is it that this thing exists?
Yeah.
Right?
Because you can only know that, like, once it's done fucking with him.
Yeah.
But then there's
Just
also
move on.
the editing of the show seems to like I haven't watched the show. I don't see how the show lays it out. But the way you're describing it, the show edits it in a way to plant the seed of this idea that it's just his trauma, or for all these people.
Well, the way I
it's their
read it
trauma.
is like it's his trauma, but for somebody that doesn't have this concept of like how hallucinations or projections or some form of psychoanalytical thought, they're gonna see this and be like, holy shit, and they're gonna get a spook. But I think it's to a point where it's like it's honestly too detrimental to someone's
But
ontological
it almost
security.
sounds obvious the way you describe it in a way that makes me think there was an intent behind
How was
the
it?
editing to make
How
you think
is it
that.
presented? Like, is it just a
So
guy
what,
talking?
what happens is, okay, my name is whatever, and I've been haunted by this, and then it's like a title screen, and then he like does a full testimonial thing, and they do like snippets of like dramatic reenactment with actors.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They still
Dramatic-
do dramatic reenactments.
That seems weird to me.
it is
Like, you're coming
Do
on
the
the
dramatic
show.
reenactments have the same person who's talking
No,
about it?
no.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask in my next question.
because if it did, that's a
If it
huge
did, that would be
ethical
like-
violation.
okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you just even if it was like, oh yeah, this is the person it happened to. Let's just let them relive this
No,
shit.
yeah. Imagine making them
Right?
reenact their trauma. That's
Yeah,
fucked up.
that's super fucked up.
Thanks. Here's your paycheck. Have fun, fucker.
But also like. I find that this story is so shaking because one, this guy was already through so much psychological torment, and then like we try like as people, it's like a form of catharsis in a way, but it's like a deep, dark level of catharsis. Like we feel shitty, so that we can then like understand like our lives are pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's at the expense of this one guy that is potentially haunted by the spirit that was in like his fucking closet, like an arbitrary space that was ruined for him. Like he probably doesn't have any closets in his home now,
Yeah. No, he's just fucked now.
right?
That sucks.
And like if this isn't real, my problem is they're reinforcing some narrative as true that is so incredibly dark and depressing and relevant today. Like this woman in white character suffered from postpartum depression, murdered her kids, and then took her own life. Like that's not something we should use to scare people.
Yeah,
That's
no.
something we should be like.
There's spooks for the Halloween season, and then there's just like, guys, what the fuck?
Like there's American Horror Story spooks.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the perfect culmination of the spook because it's we all know that it's fiction, but it's so dark and it's so gritty and it's so editorial in its sense that like we can get that deep level of catharsis, but we don't have our own individual definitions of reality shaken. Like
Yeah.
for me, my definition of reality was definitely shaken watching that episode.
Yeah.
Because he said what really messed with me was like I thought that places were haunted, not people. So this guy thinks that he is a haunted individual.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of bringing it up. I never really thought about it like that either. I always thought of it like places were haunted, not people.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, and I talked to my cousin who's like a pretty big spirit. Like she finds this stuff very fascinating. She researches it, and like that's her hobby.
Yeah.
And like she talked about like okay, in this occult area, spirits hunt places and demons hunt people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? So it kind of like reinforced the idea that there's something going on with this story that is leading me towards this guy suffers from severe psychological trauma and he needs help.
It's weird, man. I remember like talking to one of the guys that I know, and he's good friends with like a priest, and like no joke, he's like 80, right? And every time I see him, I'm always like, I always think about it, and I'm like, man, I wonder if he's done any exorcisms. Like, the dude's 80, he's been around.
If he's Catholic,
yeah,
I don't know if he has or hasn't, because I don't know if it's still legally.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't know, like, and I just like asked my friend as a joke, I was like, you think he done any? He's like, man, probably. Yeah. I'm like, fucking what? Really? Like, I was expecting him to be like, no.
Well, for my own personal beliefs.
Shit.
Like, if I believe in Jesus as God and the Holy Trinity and kind of thing, that kind of then infers that I believe in the presence of evil and Satan and this demonic canon.
You can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what kind of like helps me dealing with this kind of horror, setting aside my ethical issues, like it's very shocking to me and very scary.
Yeah,
There's this kind of power that can exist. But what comforts me is like in my beliefs, I do believe that Jesus and God is the greatest spirit. So if he is a kind and good spirit and he has the greatest power, then I don't really need to worry.
No, you're good.
About like demons and like this character. But if I understand it for myself and internally, what about people that have no knowledge of this and they're just looking, because we all like a good spook, because that's part of the human condition. We like to simulate fear. But if they don't understand this and they hear this kind of story, what kind of damage are we doing to these people?
I know, right?
Like, because there's a level of fear that should be induced as something that's a healthy emotional range. But if you're challenging someone's ontological security, which is like a sociological thing of how people make sense of their material reality around them, what kind of damage are we doing to their mental health?
That can fuck you up for a long time.
That can fuck you up for a long time. Like this idea that a person can be haunted for the rest of their life and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that goes beyond like just mental issues. That like even if you like, I don't know, man. Like even if you like think to your mind like, oh yeah, no, like I took some meds, I'm fine now. I don't think you would be fine.
Oh.
I don't think you would be.
You need to develop strategic coping mechanisms every single day of your life so that you can function properly in a societal standard.
It almost sounds like Netflix's part is almost like a profound gaslighting where they make like
it is absolutely
millions of viewers validating him.
Absolutely. And he's
it's kind of spooky.
It's horrifying.
It's like reminds me of TLC programming a little bit. That stuff always creeped me out because people watching it, it's like weird. Like what did Kyle Calvin call it? The perverse spectacle of seeing it. It's like like
I hear you.
The weird satisfaction you get out of watching people. Like
no, I always hated like any of the TLC programming, like the crazy fucking like my life with these like with like 18,000 kids. I'm like, what the like let these people live their lives, man. Jesus, like. I know you really want to be like, oh man, how do they live their life? Like, I guess if it's like, if both parties are reciprocating and it's like, I want people to see, like, how, and I'll use like I'll use the example of like, the one show they had, like Little People, Big World.
Yeah.
Where it was like, they had the little people and they were saying like, that one, to me, I think anyway, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I thought it was all right because at least then when you look at it that way, it's like, okay, you have these people who want to know how people with dwarfism live. You know what I mean? Like, what are their daily struggles besides like just guessing in your head? Like, oh, I don't know. That in that way, I can see it has some sort of value. But I mean, everything else is just like, this man has elephantitis in his left leg, and I'm like, fuck, man,
like it's just making a spectacle out of inequality. And
fucker just wants to live his life.
That's like the whole old school freak show thing, and the idea of like you look at someone else's life, and you kind of decide in your mind that they have it worse than you, and the satisfaction you're supposed to feel is, thank God I'm not that.
Yeah, but God
I've heard TLC program called The Modern freak show.
It is.
Which is a-
100%.
which is just a huge bummer philosophy
Yeah.
for me. Like it
Now
just,
I haven't watched any TLC lately.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't have
And
cable.
it's gotta
so I don't
vary,
know.
like you said, like there's some that could have an education.
Yeah,
I don't know,
absolutely.
people, but it's just the general vibe of you're pushing the line of
Yeah.
exploitive and
Like
creepy.
absolutely, if you want to be like, okay, like I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Fucking even teen mom at some point could be like, I have a kid and I'm a teenager still. How could I live with this? But then when you make 18 seasons, you're just asking kids to get pregnant at teenage years just so they can get a fucking TV show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a line where you can be like, we want to show people how they live like this, and then also we don't want to exploit them and fucking ruin them. I don't know, man. It's a weird, weird line.
This whole Haunted series, to me, is fundamentally unethical.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fucked.
Because, one, if this person actually did suffer this, he needs religious support, he needs psychological support, he needs
that man
emotional
just
support.
needs all the help.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he can't be left alone because he will suffer a great deal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, like, this is the first episode.
are all these people like
God.
in the middle of being haunted, or is this like this is my experience? It's over now, and I'm gonna reflect on it. And maybe it will help you.
It depended per episode.
Okay.
This episode, it seriously ended sad because it ended with him saying, like, in the past few years, I saw the woman in white.
Oh my God.
And, like, this guy has his daughter with him, and he straight up said, the woman in white is going to be the death of me.
He has his
fuck.
daughter.
He has his, like, he has a group of people around him that he's talking to about this experience.
No, that's fucking horrible.
It's fucking horrible.
I never even thought about it until you told me. Like, all I imagined was just like, yeah, I told my story, here it is, and then that's it.
No, he has
I never imagined it to be like,
every
yeah, no,
story-
I saw her like 3 days ago. I've been like, what the fuck?
Every story
Oh my God.
has a group of people around the storyteller. Like
Oh,
it's like a group
fuck.
testimonial.
Oh my God. It's like the shittiest fucking intervention.
kind of.
God damn it.
And it's so
That's terrible.
it's so heart-wrenching because this guy is so distraught and so tormented and so haunted by this idea, and he can't escape it.
God
and
damn.
and not even like his family or his own flesh and blood has really known about this torment in his life, because he felt like he couldn't express it, and he felt like this haunting was going to then damage them. Like this, there's something so fundamentally wrong with this series, because there's just so much that can be damaged with the people that are interacting with it and the people that can be watching it. Like for me, if I watched this, if I was any bit younger than I am now, I would be fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I would be terrified for weeks on end, because right now I'm still kind of fixated, because that's what my own mental
That's your
struggles
coping
do.
mechanism.
Yeah, like
You're like, I gotta fucking think
I
this
gotta
shit
fix
through.
it. Like I gotta see if this is real. So like I'm looking around outside. I'm like, do I see the woman in white? Okay, no, I'm good. Like I check my surroundings.
Yeah.
I check and see if I'm okay. Right. And like I do that to alleviate my fear of like this being real or this actually affecting my life.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
Like I have this coping mechanism kind of figured out. But what if the people that are younger than me are watching this?
Yeah, they have nothing.
They may not have these coping mechanisms, and then they're going to experience an unnecessary trigger for their anxiety or their struggles. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, that's... I can't.
And this is the first episode!
That's so fucked.
And the next episode...
Dude, we can't... We're fucking... Are you serious? We just
I had a lot to say about that one episode.
Holy shit.
Because that affected me the most, and then that kind of projected me and formed me for the rest of the episodes that I watched. The next episode was interesting because it was about the human condition, about how humans can be the greatest monsters. Because it was about...
That sounds like a stupid video essay.
That just
Pretty
sounds
much.
like it already a thing. If you just look at the meta of this whole series existing,
It is.
is that people perpetuating this guy's
Yeah.
haunting.
And this next episode was about two daughters that had a father who was a serial killer, and they knew they had a serial killer father
No, Jesus.
because they witnessed it,
Ugh.
right? And then it talked about how he would practice the occult and all these things, and how he was still their father, and it was still their house. And once he died, like they then kind of transitioned it into like his spirit still haunts the house, and like you can't rid the house of his spirit and all this stuff. And I'm like, guys, you literally just put two people who had a father for a serial killer to regale us of what it's like having a serial killer father, and how that then impacted their family lineage, and now you're just putting it, and they
You don't even need the ghost story after this. Like that's already fucked it
that's
up.
already fucked enough. And then it kind of then reinforces my point as well, because then one sister said, "No, you can't burn down the house. His spirit won't let it burn."
Motherfucker, light the match. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
But for me, I'm like, they're so ingrained in their trauma and their projections. And you know what? If my dad was a serial killer, that's something you like. That's something that's gonna haunt you the rest of your life, because that's your lineage.
Yeah, that's
Like that's where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Like that affects your innermost being.
yeah.
That is a proper.
You're gonna have a
Haunting of a
you're gonna have
person.
a you're gonna have a rough time thinking like I'm gonna have to kill someone soon, aren't I?
Yeah.
Because that's just I mean like what if this was like a thing? What if my grandfather did it? What if my great grandfather did
Exactly.
it? What if I'm doomed to do the
What
same
if
thing?
what if I'm predisposed
Sins
to
of the
become
father.
something?
What if-
Exactly.
Yeah. What if I'm
So
what if
much.
I'm gonna do this?
It
This
is so much.
My brain is sufficiently cooked.
And
a
then
cooked rock.
the
I'm
next
at the perfect intersection of having a million things to say, but also not wanting to bother.
And then continuing through the series, it's just constant. Okay, this person had a life, they had a family situation, and then they had a trauma. They had a tragedy. They had something that fundamentally shifted their personal experience.
Yeah.
And then they started having some form of haunting or possessional experience.
Seems almost like the series is very anti-spiritual, because it makes people it makes a perception that people who are haunted are just projecting these traumas, and then
Well, you know what? That's just the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
it's like I feel like I need to watch it now, because the way you describe it makes it seem very clear that that's the intent.
Exactly,
I'm
because
picturing a really low budget, very. It's gonna scream exploitative to me.
it is
Just
very,
like we
it is very exploitative.
Bothered these people enough to get them and offered them enough money so that they would like dredge out their old past traumas that they might not even be fully like
Healed
dealt
from?
with. Yeah.
That's the thing.
And
like,
we're just gonna present it, and even if, and you know, like you might think like, oh well, we won't have any agenda with presenting it. We'll just present it. But even that's kind of irresponsible in its own way, because then you're just letting the possibility be out there that someone might not take the right message here, or might just be like, oh well, that's a bummer. I'm super depressed. This sucks.
And it's like they even similar to the TLC program probably is that they're offering these people probably some amount of money and then a shitload of attention to people, at least in this haunting show, seem like they aren't necessarily don't necessarily know how to make the decision to accept that properly.
Yeah.
And then even if they do, like, it's not only attention, but attention about this specific thing framed in the way that the show presents it is just not something that's healthy.
Yeah. And I'm not going to put myself in the position of like the average person, because, you know, thankfully I have had an education in these kinds of ideas and how society and the individual, you know,
Yeah, these
it
are
works.
concepts to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
And like for me, it's fundamentally concerning, because there are people out there that they don't have the knowledge to put these two together, and then it's going to affect them negatively. They're going to think that like they are in threat of spirits, and I am of the believer that like you're not consciously in the threat of a spirit. Don't go messing around.
Yeah, just don't fuck
with
around
something
with it.
that is spiritual in nature, because we're not spiritual creatures. We're physical creatures with some spiritual ideologies, and that's how sometimes we make sense of the world. But don't go messing in the potential of the spiritual world, because that's not smart.
No, just don't fuck with it.
Right? And
That's the number one lesson to take away from this.
The bigger
fuck with
message is, what kind of exploitation is the media doing of these people that are suffering from these hauntings? If they're real, don't use them for your creative outlet.
Yeah.
Don't use them for the creative imagination of the artist that inspires fear, because old cathartic Greek plays were simply taking this tragic thought that people had, this tragic event, and presenting it as like this happened, but it was never a matter of spirits, and they always had resolution.
Yeah.
None of these stories have resolution.
It's really just like, I'm doing this today now, hope it goes good. Bye.
Exactly. There's no resolution to these stories.
Is there any hope at the end of them?
No.
There's none? There's
one that can be construed as hopeful at the end, and that's the guy that has some sort of psychic medium powers.
I see. Well, I guess that's better than nothing, right?
And this guy, he had super hyper-religious parents that would then indoctrinate and press their ideology upon that child and the family.
Yeah.
And they were an oppressive force. And in doing so, caused him to create this spiritual idea of these children that would communicate with him and be present with him when he was being put into a place where he was afraid.
Yeah.
As a consequence. Like
again,
this kid as a child, and we all have had this experience as a child, like you're sleeping alone in your room and you think you hear something spooky.
Mm-hmm.
That person's parents decided, okay, here's the consequence of you believing in this. You're going to go exactly where you're afraid, and you're going to deal with it.
I both like that and hate that at the same time.
But here's the thing. His parents did not address it as, it's not real.
Oh, they addressed it
They
as,
just,
fucker,
this is your
deal with
consequence.
it.
Get your dumb ass down in the basement where you're afraid, and you're going to stay there, and you're going to like it.
Oh my god, no, fuck that. Oh my god, no. I was thinking of it like, nah, there's nothing there. See,
No, it's
just stay in
the
there,
actual-
fine. It's more like,
I
fuck
never
you.
liked the idea of that, like, oh,
It's
this
the
is what you're
psychological-
afraid of, how about if I just force it on you enough, you'll get over it.
Yeah, it's the
fuck.
psychological, mental abuse of that child. And that child then taking this trauma and formulating it into these, there are spirits in here that are communicating with me. And then his mother dies tragically. He then attributes his mother's death to these children.
God damn. Man, I don't want to end this on a bummer.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna scoop it up.
You know what? No, fuck it. I'm gonna go on Twitter.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna see if I can
God, will you
find.
stop
We're not
taking
going
out
on
your
Twitter.
I'm going to
phone for
find.
everything?
I'm gonna find something
Jesus
good
Christ,
that we can
John.
end this on.
Have an original thought for once, please.
How about this one? Having a normal one with my serial killer dad. Gonna eat a burger. And then those kids are also obese in the show. Wah!
Okay, I'm going to end this on an upswing.
Okay.
Because I'm just going to give like a shout out to these people. I am so terribly sorry that you experienced these traumas and these hauntings. And I'm sorry if you participated in this project and you felt exploited. I want to express to you as a believer in the spiritual that the spiritual world does not have hold over you. You have hold over yourself, and you can be reinforced through the positive impacts of therapy, of proper medication, of a social system that supports you and encourages you towards a center of healing and acceptance for traumas, including your hauntings and your possessions and your experiences with the spiritual. And Netflix, you really fucked up
Yeah.
with this.
Big
You
time.
really fucked up with this, man.
Like I'm half on the point of like I gotta watch this now and find out myself, but I'm also like
Don't.
I kind of don't even want to
Don't.
even bother.
Nobody
honestly.
should watch this because there are 6 stories in here where these 6 people have experienced immense trauma and tragedy and unfortunate circumstances in their life. We should not use them
No,
as a freak show.
fuck that.
We
Oh,
should
my God.
not. We should have the responsibility as viewers and consumers of media to say, Netflix, what the fuck, man?
Yeah,
If you're gonna scare us, write a story.
yeah. Do what all the other people are doing. Write a
Do the
fucking-
Haunting of Hill House.
Definitely, because like,
Hey
well,
man, don't bring
it's-
up my other show. That seems way more boring now. I don't even want to talk about it.
It's like a big talking point that people talk when it comes to horror media is the idea that all the creatures, anything supernatural in the horror movies is more than just a literal, it's always a metaphorical
Absolutely.
representation. I've heard lately vampires are rich people, upper class people. Babadook, it was grief.
Zombies are always like consumerism and
Yeah.
So make a movie where the
You're having
person
a
is
political-
haunted and the haunting is a projection of their trauma. There's probably
There's a
probably-
1,000.
There are a zillion of these.
Yeah,
The Haunting of Hill House.
And I'm also I'm also of a proponent that no horror, even if it's based on a true claim, should ever explicitly say this is based on a true story, because it will have detrimental effects on the potential underaged, undertreated, poorly treated individuals that could experience this media and be fundamentally damaged because of it. You should never, as a horror writer, say this is based on a true story.
Definitely. I think, yeah. It's just there's just a responsibility that comes,
Absolutely.
especially at a large scale production like that, and then having that expectation of like it requires a decent level of media literacy to say true story. Well,
There
that can be
are very few
loosely
true
based
stories.
on something.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know
Probably
about
mostly
I don't know about you, but
stretch.
even I don't know, especially for me. But I think anyone should just, even if it's like, even if it's blatantly told to you that what you're about to see is a true story, grain of salt won't be too bad to take with you.
Well, like
Yeah.
some examples like Fargo says based on a true story, which is not true. It's entirely fictional. And then, which I mean, again, obvious to us, but maybe not someone's watched. But then, recently I saw the Tag movie, which was a fucking good movie. Might as well say.
It
But
is.
it said based on a true
true
story.
story.
But then at the end of the movie, they showed actual home movies of people doing the long game of tag, and I was like, if they hadn't shown that, I would not have nearly believed any.
Yeah, exactly.
That did a lot of work in actually showing
But they
what about it
still-
was true. Like my assumption is that none of it's true. You're just saying based on a true story. I don't give a shit.
Even the productional film, it wasn't a complete copy of the true story. Like it was based
Right.
upon this idea because there was 5 people in the movie and it was like a group of like multiple people.
right.
right?
Yeah.
So there's
yeah.
still that cutting and tailoring and contortion and falsifying, in my opinion, of
Absolutely.
the true story.
And like you can see where they clearly all of them are white men, and you can see where they
Yeah.
added women. They added Hannibal Buress,
Yeah.
which makes sense again, like because
that's how society
because
works. Like, it's more than just white.
Yeah.
the reality, like a true story, an individual story, is not necessarily going to be diverse, but Hollywood's priorities are different. But yeah, it's just, and I don't know if you can. When your story has the potential to impact someone psychologically like that, like these hauntings and stuff, there's precautions yet. Like,
There's responsibilities.
do I want to call back to 13 Reasons Why? But like at least it had a
Yeah.
conscience to say, hey, this show deals with stuff,
Yeah.
and we were trying to approach this ethically.
Yeah. There's kind of just seems like with this one, everything was.
But for
so
this
wayside.
whole anthology, it feels just purely exploitive, and it truly saddens me because I enjoy a good scare because it's a healthy
Who
emotional
doesn't?
experience.
Yeah.
But it's to a point where it's not scary. It's traumatic.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like what have we done?
The way I like
to these
the
people?
way I like to think about it is like this. There's scary and then there's horrifying. There's not really like if you see a movie and you're like, oh man, it was scary.
Like
If you see a movie and you're like, fuck, that was horrifying. You'd be like, that's to me anyway. That's the way I like to think about it. It's like that's way different. Horrifying to you is like me and Quinn seen It Comes at Night and we were like, that's a terrible movie, but not because it's a bad movie. I just mean it's terrible as in terrible things happen and you don't leave feeling good. Like,
That's how I felt that way about Hereditary to some degree.
yeah, it was just, that's terrible. I don't feel good now.
Yeah.
I watch movies to be entertained.
Like-
what the fuck?
Just like a 2-hour experience where nothing good happens even remotely.
Yeah.
That's why movies like Prisoners, fantastic movie. Fantastic movie, provides a scare, provides a tenseness, provides a catharsis, but there's some level of resolution and some form of, like at the end, like you can either take it as the bleak, dark resolution, I guess we can call it, or we can take it on the upswing of like, oh yeah, there is maybe this hope.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part about that show you're describing is that like
There's no resolution to
there
it.
really isn't. So it's really just like all this shit happened to me when I was a kid. This weirder shit started happening to me later. I couldn't do anything to fix it. My life still sucks.
Oh, yeah, it's
Here's
like-
the next one.
Yes, that is,
what?
That is exactly what happens.
I'm gonna make a really crass analogy. It's tension without release. And when I thought that, my first thought was, imagine eating, but you can never shit.
That's exactly what it is.
But there's also a big part of horror is just knowing deep down that you and everyone involved is safe.
Yeah.
Like that's required. It's even like I'm almost in my head making the weird analogy, and I'm 0% an expert here. But like BDSM, it's in like being violent and physical,
Yeah.
but it involves a lot of trust and knowing deep down that everyone
You
is
are safe.
Safe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if that's not true when you're watching it, that's not.
Are you saying that
like,
Haunted is just bad BDSM?
It's 100% bad BDSM.
Definitely, because well, it's like these like even when a movie makes you feel shitty and empty, like you still have that.
You still have that safety,
is
like that
fiction.
was the movie.
There's a detachment there, but when you know that it's actually affecting real people, it's not the same thing.
There's no detachment there. Because like I saw these people weeping, telling their stories. I saw these people reliving their traumas. There was no compassion care for these people. There was no support for these people.
There's nothing.
But then you can take it even farther, because like even if this whole show was fiction and all of that was actors and stuff,
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's just fucked up.
you're now portraying that this is an acceptable thing, like the reality you're creating where that's okay, and posing it as real, like it's real enough to convince us. That's its own, that it creates the same effect really, because it doesn't really at the end. I guess it doesn't extremely matter whether or not it was real or whether or not these are real people experiencing these things. If they make us believe that it is real people and real things they experienced.
Fuck, man.
And now everyone are close to your weekend. Don't forget to smash that like button. Click that subscribe. Also the bell for some reason. I'm not up on what that means, but do it anyways.
It means you get an email when we upload a new video.
And tweet. Don't forget to tweet at us at Weekend Fan Club.
And tweet at Netflix and say, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, no context, just what the fuck.
So what the fuck, man?
What the fuck, man?
What the fuck at Weekend Fan Club at Netflix?
Yeah. And to reiterate to the people that are listening, if you struggle with hallucinations or trauma or tragedy,
Just get help.
just you are allowed
Yeah.
help, and you are allowed to have people around you to support you, and you are allowed to have a sense of hope and goodness in your life that can be incredibly hard to find in today's society. And as a person that has practiced Christianity all of my life, I have kind of this responsibility to say, hey, there's something out there that I believe in that is inherently good. So I hope that at the end of the day you can kind of believe that there's some form of inherent good and that nothing is going to hurt you. And it's going to be okay.
Yeah, man.
But also, there may be a movie deal in your future, and I hear they make the big bucks. So,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there is a level of exploitation that you should also be aware of.
I also
so take care of yourself out there, folks.
I
Yeah.
also do management for people trying to get into the industry. Email me, send me a message. I can get you hooked up. We'll make you real famous.
Stay frosty, folks. Stay frosty.
Right.